Alright, so we're going to do an afternoon crow hunt here. Now when you select times to go crow hunting, in my opinion they fly better in the morning. And you can usually hunt them for a few hours in that first morning time frame. If you can find out where they roost, you can set up within 300-400 yards of it, and you can call them into you pretty easily. And then after that you just go to some hot spots that you find or that you've seen crows hang out in, or maybe you hear crows off in the distance. If you can hear them, you can better believe that they're going to be able to hear you. Alright, so what I'm going to do, and a lot of times setting up in a wide open field does not work. Alright, one, what they do is they'll set up, they'll land in a tree on the other side of it and then look, especially if they're educated crows and they've been shot at once or twice and are accustomed to that call that you're using. They'll set up and they won't come in. They'll just look and see if it's a real fight or something real is going on. So if you see that happening to you, you need to start looking into cover. All right, going into the woods. What you don't want to do, let's pan around. All right, so what you don't want to do is you don't want to set up into tall timber such as this. Okay, what that's going to do is it's going to put them farther away. They're going to skim them treetops, and it's going to put them farther away from you and making it a harder shot. So you want to go into kind of the thicker underbrush where the trees maybe are 20 foot, 25 foot tall. That way when they skim the top of the trees, they're right in range, and you can put them down right there. Another thing you can look for if you're deciding on an area in the woods is like this. This is an old logging trail, so it's got a cut, it's got an avenue where they can fly down through. So I could set up, and what they'll do is they'll skim the top, and then they'll come in like kamikazes, and they'll go down this logging road. I've done that many times, and it's worked really well for me. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up on the edge of this where I'm at right here, and I'm going to show you kind of the cover that is available for me, and something that they'll just barely have to skim over, and they might be, and it's going to put them right in range. Okay, so this right here is the top of the trees of this cover. All right, so I'm going to set up over here. I'm going to call, and I'm going to expect them to come up over the tall trees, kind of drop down, and then sweep in here to kind of investigate what's going on. Yeah.
Check your barrel. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Here it comes.
Come over behind you. I'm going to try to look for mine, but I'm glad to see I'm not the only one that does that, though.
So what's our plan here?
Right up here there's a little cut. It goes through that strip of brush. I'm going to set the collar in the woods on the left. Try to stay out on in this strip out here.
Mm-hmm.
And then that way, when they come through, they should be within gun range of us. If we try to set up too close to the tall trees, we won't have a snowball's chance. They stay high there, so if we stay out this way with the collar in a little bit, we have better odds.
There's a lot of crows.
Anytime you got birds hollering like that, don't be calling when they can.
Yeah.
You know, if you're setting up, just give them a little bit, and then try calling. Don't try calling right when they're, you know, thinking you can hurry up and get in on the action. Well, at that point they've already seen you.
Yeah, they know you're there now. I mean, I can throw some decoys up high. If we put the collar in this strip, you're saying?
Yeah.
I mean, I can throw some decoys as high as I can get them, you know, just to keep their attention off of us, and then they might swing around more to check it out. So we're gonna go over there?
Yeah.
All right. Do it.
You go for it. Hang on. All right.
It's not fun. We're getting old.
You. When you're calling with the crows and they're communicating, it's just like turkeys. You want to pay attention to what they're telling you. So if a crow starts getting more aggressive or more excited and you've laid off the call, jump back on it, because he's showing you that he was interested, or at least that he was excited about it. So go ahead and get back on your call when that happens.
Yeah, that's a good tip. All right, let's go pick up these birds.
A little tidbit for you guys: if you're crow hunting and you shoot much, take a boar snake, run it through your bore a couple times. Those heavy loads for crows, they have a tendency to gum up the barrel pretty quickly. I think at this point I've probably run through about 10 or 12 shells. I just run my boar snake through about 2 times, maybe 3, just enough to clean it out, because once it starts to gum up, your patterns are going to end up spreading out and getting splotchy. They're not going to stay consistent. So just take a boar snake with you and run it through about twice. You're good to go again.
Fine right there.
Yep.
I
feel like I'm rabbit hunting.
feel like I'm tick collecting.
Right above you, right above you. I know.
Alright, so one thing I want to talk about right now, and Christopher introduced it to me, we both have electronic collars, and he's done it in the past, and what really helped out in some of these sets we were doing is using both collars. And why do you think, explain why that works?
You're doing a couple things there. First of all, you're making the sound come from two different areas, so it sounds like the fight is moving back and forth. So you can kind of fluctuate where it's at a little bit that way. The other benefit to it is the more commotion with crows that you get, the better off you are.
And the louder.
More excitement you create. And with two collars, you're creating a lot more excitement. So by having, say, like in this particular case, mine's off to the left more, and then probably 25 yards away is Logan's. And by doing that, we are really throwing the distance quite a bit on them. Like if I shut mine off during the sequence and after we started shooting or something, then he starts to back up over there, and it sounds like, oh, okay, well, even though there was the gunshots may have spooked the birds, now the fight has moved a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing, we're using the same brand of collars and the same type of sound. So one thing that we were doing is he would start it up, and then if we were going to use both collars, we would stagger them, and then I would start up maybe 20 seconds after that, because with the same sequence and the same calls, if we hit them at the same time, then it just sounds like there's not enough depth. It's just the same sound multiplied. Okay, so that's what we were doing. And why do you shut it off after you shoot?
Well,
and it makes sense.
It's kind of like this, you know, when a gunfire starts, the crows spook, they're all taken off. Well, if the fight continues, that doesn't make sense to them because they're already getting out of dodge. They don't like it. So by shutting that collar off, you give them, you know, 2, 3, 4 minutes, whatever, and then start it back up. Then it's like, oh, okay, now the fight started back up again. Everything's fine.
They think, they think everyone came back to it and started fighting again.
Exactly.
So yeah, that really, and I've never done that before. I've always just thought, you know, if I kept it playing, then they would just think the fight was so intense that they just want to come back. But you know, now I'm definitely gonna stop it each time after we shoot. That was a really good thing that I learned today.
Something else too, and my collar has the ability to do this, not all of them do, but the flashbang. And all it is it's the minute your gun goes off, your remote detects the sound and it switches to a sound that you program it to. And in my case, I programmed it to the dying crow. Sometimes that gives you a few seconds for a second pass by before they bug out. And then right after that's when I shut my collar off. So I kind of use that a little bit. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it adds, you know, maybe one more shot before they bug out.
Yeah, a lot of guys use that for coyote hunting. They'll throw in a coyote or a wounded coyote after they shoot to try to get that other coyote to stop. And it's the same theory, kind of what Christopher was saying, just to get them to hang out, maybe make another pass before they get out of dodge. All right, so we're gonna go pick up the crows that we just put down, and we're gonna head on to another spot.
I think you mean the crows that you put down.